coasters! Summer is upon us, and amusement parks nationwide are now open. Tori and I got season passes this year to Six Flags America, and we decided it'd be fun to have our first joint topic of roller coasters. This week I'm going to talk about the science and history of roller coasters, and next week Tori will discuss why, or why we don't, like roller coasters. In the beginning, the first simple ride consisted of a simple ice ramp with a sandbank. A simple wooden sleigh would run down the ramp. This was in 16th century Russia. Somewhere in the early 17th century, French entrepreneurs brought the idea back to France. Now France, being a milder climate than Russia, couldn't support ice ramps. So instead, the ramps became simple wooden ramps, and the sleds were waxed and eventually became carts with wheels. In 1817, the first coaster with cars attached to the track was invented. It was the Russe à Belleville. This allowed the ride to be faster and make sharper turns. The French kept developing this with different layouts. Now, when most Americans think of the first amusement park, they think of Coney Island, New York. Coney Island was the first amusement park, and it was built in 1875. The idea was spawned by railway companies who built attractions at the end of their lines to increase fares on weekends and holidays. At first, Coney Island only had simple rides like carousels, but eventually in 1884, Coney Island received its first roller coaster, arguably the first roller coaster in America. In 1912, the under-friction roller coaster was invented, allowing for tighter turns, steeper slopes, more speed, and less drag. Roller coasters boomed during the 1920s, but interest in amusement parks waned during the Great Depression and World War II. It wasn't until 1955, when Walt Disney opened Disneyland, that America fell in love with amusement parks again. In 1959, Disney introduced the first tubular roller coaster, the Matterhorn. The tubular roller coaster was a great invention. It was a new material, steel. Now coasters can make tighter turns and even flip passengers upside down. In 1992, the first successful inverted roller coaster was completed. Roller coasters are very simple physics machines. Designers must take into account the average weight of all the passengers, calculate the amount of drag the train will produce to make sure the train will complete a full run. The only energy that should be used is the chain or jet propulsion to get the roller coaster to the top of the hill. Many coasters use a chain lift or jet propulsion to bring the roller coaster to the top. At the end of the run, simple pressure plates in between the track squeeze together a piece of metal on the either the underside or the top of the track, depending on the train, to bring the train to a complete stop. Now the physics can be broken down to a simple energy equation. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so instead we see a switch in potential and kinetic energy, with drag or friction as an energy loss. At the top of the very first hill, the roller coaster has a lot of potential energy and zero kinetic energy. When the roller coaster peaks and starts traveling down, the potential energy decreases and kinetic energy increases. At the bottom of the hill, the roller coaster has kinetic energy and no potential energy. The kinetic energy at the bottom does not equal the potential energy at the top because there is some loss due to drag. The roller coaster still has lots of energy and continues up to the next peak. At the top of the next peak, we see that there is almost complete potential energy and no kinetic energy. This cycle repeats until there's no more kinetic or potential energy by the end of the run. This simple model can also be applied to turns and loops. A loop acts very much like a simple peak, and the turns see both mainly kinetic, but both kinetic and potential energy as the car swings around a loop. That's pretty much roller coaster science and history in a nutshell. I look forward to seeing your video next week, Tori, about why we love roller coasters. See you. Bye. Oh, I forgot to mention, Anthroengineers now has a Facebook page and a Tumblr. Be sure to check out the links down here. See ya!